Good morning. Good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom, and we have another Wednesday. It's just life is just flowing extremely fast. Here we are in what are we past? Yeah, we're coming into the end of September, going into October. It's amazing how fast life is progressing, and we're here with the beautiful Emma Mathews. And Emma has a beautiful book that have you just published this? You just created this?
Yeah, stop giving. That was earlier this year that book came out. Yeah.
Okay. And so I've got to ask you, Emma, how on earth do we know each other? I know your name. I know, sometimes I see people online and I hear there's something and I go, oh, I want to interview them. So is that how that happened?
I think it came about because I was watching another Wednesday Wisdom with that you're interviewing someone who I can't remember the name of at this point, but it was and the topic of burnout came up, or I made a comment on it. Yeah. And then it sort of stemmed from there, and you went, "Oh, do you want to be interviewed?
Do you want to jump on?" Yeah.
And I went, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, because I do like sort of showcasing the women that are in Women of Light, and you know, there's so much to offer in so many different ways. So I'm so glad that we grabbed that. So tell us a little bit about you and who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Ella. Thanks, Elizabeth. So a few years ago, I was working in a really crazy corporate job, and had a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure on me, and basically I was just overdoing it and not giving back to myself. I didn't have sort of self-awareness about my own needs. I was just constantly giving my energy out to other people, whether it be my employer or friends or family. And as part of that sequence or series of events, I started to get really worn out, and basically led to me burning out.
So how long ago was that? Sorry?
That was about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Now, yeah, that was about 6 years ago, and so it was a bit of a hard learning journey to sort of get myself through that. Learning about how to sort of basically be kind to myself again. Just give back to myself, start to listen to my own needs and what I really wanted or needed to get through each day.
So can we just back up a little bit, because straight away the first thing, it's as a coach, mentor, healer, whatever you want to, whatever label feels right. It can be really challenging when you see someone that you can see that they're so close, but they're not aware of it themselves. What was it you were giving to everybody else and not one of the things that we've got here is the glorification of busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what is it you were feeling? What was the experience that you were having?
Well, I kind of thought I was living the life that I was meant to live. I thought I was having this amazing career, and I had money to throw around, and I traveled whenever I wanted, and these goals became embedded in me at a young age, these social expectations, and it took burnout for me to realize that they weren't my needs or idea of success. We grow up into this world, and certain things are just sort of givens, certain things are just sort of accepted as what we're meant to do,
But
you know, it took burnout for me to realize, well, no, I mean, that lifestyle and that way of pushing myself and that achievement oriented sort of thinking, it just wasn't suited to me and my personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many women, you know, and especially, you know, 6 years ago, things that I think things are shifting. I don't really take much notice of what's going on in the world, to tell you the truth, but I have the feeling that things are actually shifting. But back then it was like this, we've got to do everything, right? Like, to be successful, we have to have the great career. We've got to, you know, travel. We've got to be seen as you know, high potential and all that sort of stuff. And we've got to still go home and, you know, cook the dinner and look after the kids and be the perfect wife and you know, like, socialize with our friends. And if we don't, our friends have a problem with us, and so do our husband, and blah, 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 all the stuff that we've got to do. So it's like an added to, you know, you know, our nurturing aspect.
Yeah, it compounds the pressure, and it really, I mean, we sort of grow up, as I was saying before, we sort of grow up into this world with these sort of social norms that we sort of, you know, grow up into, and it takes, you know, a lot of strength and inner courage to sort of step outside those norms.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's because, you know, busyness is seen as worn as a badge of honor, you know, like, even, you know, your own family sort of, you know, you say, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't been able to call because I've just been so busy. And it's like, oh, that's good, Em. You know, people say, oh, that's fine. You know, it's like, well,
we know what you know, we know what's going on, you know, like, and yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and it's just sort of like, well, it's. I mean, since that burnout experience that I've had, I've just sort of thought, well, you know, when people say, when you ask someone how are they, what are they doing, and they say, oh, I've been really busy. I mean, I sort of say, oh, are you okay now?
Yeah.
Are you surviving?
That's fantastic.
Do you need anything? Because it's sort of changing the dialogue, you know, around how we sort of talk about being busy and stuff, that, you know, maybe we shouldn't be as accepting of that busy, you know, as we've always been, and in conversations, you know, whoever it may be.
Wow. I really love that. I really love, you know, like, oh, are you okay? You know, is there anything you need? Yeah. Because we see it as a social norm, as you said, right?
Yeah, because I've been there. I've been, you know, just trying to do everything, you know, and women, like you're saying, women have so much on their shoulders these days, you know, with, you know, trying to do it all. And I mean, basically, we can't do it all. We have to make a decision about what are our priorities, and what do we want to, you know, where do we want to spend our energy? And, you know,
what is it that you really want to create, right? Like, you know, like, is it to, as you said, glorify or, you know, validation from outside of ourselves, or what is it truly that we want to create, you know, internally?
Yeah.
And so, can I just ask, what did burnout look like, if you're okay with me asking, what did burnout look like to you?
Yeah, so for me, burnout, I mean, I'm totally happy to talk about, because I want to create some awareness around some of the symptoms, and the symptoms are going to be different for everyone. I mean, there'll be slight variations on the symptoms, but it's sort of like breaking down the barriers about, you know, what really happens. So I'm completely happy to talk about it. So for me, there was quite a few months of lead up that I can recognise now that I didn't actually see it for what it was at the time. Because I was doing shift work at the time, I was already in a position of sleep deprivation and disrupted sleep patterns. But when I did have a good night's sleep, I would just get out of bed in the morning and just feel zonked. I would just feel so, you know, like not rejuvenated, not rested at all. So that was one thing. Something else that would happen when I would get these sort of twitching sensations in my face, where it'd be my eye or my eyebrow or my lip. And that I recognise now as a sign of stress. So
nervous system stimulation.
Yeah, exactly. So these sort of things were happening, and I was just thinking, oh, that's annoying. Why is that doing that? I just didn't
click.
inner awareness about my own, what my body was telling me, basically. So that was going on, and also I was just becoming, starting to be a bit more detached from people, the world. I was starting to sort of withdraw a little bit and being more emotional. So I was easily triggered. So stimulating environments like the shops, the music that's on at the shopping centre, crowds. I was going out a lot at the time because I'd recently split up with a long-term partner as well. So that was the other thing that was happening with me. And, I was going out and socialising a lot and, going to music gigs and, just having a good time. But that sort of environment, that overstimulating environment really started to drain me really. Yeah. So there are a few things that happened to me,
So the nervous system.
Yeah.
The nervous system saying, well, we're overstimulated, you're giving us too much, back off. Yeah.
Yep. So that was happening like a few months leading up to the night that I call my night of meltdown. And so basically the night that I was just pushing myself, to the limit for those many months. And then I had to go in for a shift one night, and I got into work and I just started crying. I just started to release, all the stress and emotion and, what I'd been dealing with and holding in, for months and months.
Yeah.
And I had to just call someone and go home. And that was the start of me just having to completely change my approach, how I dealt with myself, how I dealt with other people, because I'd always sort of been such a giver. Like I would easily give my energy away. If someone asked me to do something, I go, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. Because I sort of had that upbringing of, from a young girl, you need to sort of, you need to look after other people, being the good girl, the good
people
friend,
pleaser. Yeah.
So that people pleasing really has just that had just blown out, and I think really led to my burnout. So it took a lot of inner work to really change my approach with how I dealt with people and where I wanted to spend my energy.
Yeah. And so that it's such a big one, isn't it? Like, be a good girl, like it was drummed into us, from such a young age, and glorified to, when you did serve and nurture and look after everybody else, right? And so that then becomes a subconscious pattern. You're not even aware that you're doing it. It's just the way it is.
That's it.
And everything else gets depleted in the meantime. And so
unless we're taught, from a young age, okay, like unless someone said to me, look, Em, you've been doing a lot, why don't you just go and have a little read of a book or have some quiet time? That was never part of the dialogue in my family. You know what I mean? My mum was a busy lady. She gave a lot to her family, us as kids, and so that coming from that role model, I guess that's what I brought into my adult life as well. But
not only that, so we've got it in our family structure, but we've got it in our cultural structure as well. Like,
absolutely.
It looks like you're, tapped out a bit. Let's go in, why don't you go and relax? Why don't you go and read a book? And you're defined as lazy because you can't cope, or you're weak, or all of these. Yeah,
the weakness. And the weakness is a real, showing vulnerability. Basically, that's what it boils down to for me. It's just like showing any sign of vulnerability. People, really have a sort of a bad reaction to that. They don't like seeing a vulnerable person. They don't know how to nurture a vulnerable person. They will blame the person for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Being in basically a masculine system, that corporate world where it's achievement, and push all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, when you say, look, I can't reach that deadline, or I can't do that, it's not in the dialogue of a workplace or the workplace culture to actually speak up.
Yeah.
I mean?
And that then goes into, you know, like if you do express that, then that ignites that the ramifications of being defined a certain way, judged, criticized, you know, all of those things, right?
Yeah, and I guess, and the industry that I was in was a very male-dominated industry, and being a woman in a male-dominated industry, I mean, for many years, I didn't think that affected me or bothered me. But after 15 years in that industry, I think it really contributed to depleting my energy. It just wore me down. The high level that women are expected to perform at in order to compete, you know, on the male stage.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
hard work. It's not for every woman. It's certainly not for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sort of saying that some women can't do it. I mean, go. You know, if you've got that strength and willpower, and you know, you can you know, fight the men in their own battles, then go for it. It's just not for me. I know.
No. And the thing is, you know, like, you know, the work that I do about being, you know, creating out in nature, you know, nature has masculine and feminine action, right? And so when we are in the place of just go, even the men you know, they don't want to show their weakness, like, you know, that they need that time to stop and pause, because, you know, to bring the two in together of opportunity to reflect and connect with yourself and to rest and just to be, actually nourishes your body and your system, so that you can have that ability to go out and fight the fight, right? Like you look at lions, for example, right? They're not fighting and you know, killing gazelles all the time. They're resting a lot, right? They're, you know, like they're in their space of just being, and then they'll go out and they'll, you know, like fight. But we've missed that as human beings, and so that, you know, like, and seeing it as a weakness.
No, it's a pity, because we can actually complement each other. You know, men and women, we can really women have a lot to bring, you know, to the workplace, you know, in terms of their, you know, that nurturing energy, and, you know, calling out, you know, okay, it's time out, you know, we need a break or whatever. And instead of it being seen as it's like a threat, or it's not what we normally do around here. It should really be recognised as, well, okay, maybe it is actually time for a little break here. You know, maybe it is time that we just have a breather for 10 minutes, go outside and have some fresh air, and then we'll come back feeling so much more refreshed and energised to face, you know, the next part of the
how
meeting.
the brain's opportunity to function, you know, like as you were saying, you know, like the nervous system was twitching, the nervous system was saying, hey, I'm starting to tap out here, I'm giving you signs and you're not listening. When you can bring in the both sides, you know, like rest, play, nurture, you know, and relax with that action orientation, your brain's capacity to function at full capacity is way more profitable to the company than when, you know, that, and they just haven't worked that out. And to me, you know, vulnerability is such a powerful thing, right? It takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable.
Oh, it does. I mean, because without sort of having the courage to be vulnerable about, you know, even my story, by putting it into a book, you know, like it in a way it did take a little bit of courage, but in a way I just felt like I was meant to do it. Like I really wanted to share my story, because I just felt so in the dark about burnout myself when it happened, that, you know, I just thought, you know, there's other people out there who are really suffering and really under a lot of pressure that are burning out. I mean, like in 2020, like a bit of a stat here, but in 2020, like 3 in 4 Australians suffered burnout, apparently, you know, with working from home and lockdowns and all that, you know, but we hardly talk about it.
Yeah.
It's a really big modern problem, you know.
It is. Yeah.
We're always switched on with our phones. People are checking emails at night. I mean, you know, when do people give themselves the time to be still? And, you know, it has to be really a conscious thing. People have to really want to do it, to step away from that busy sort of activity, to find some stillness. And that's sort of what I want to try and bring to, you know, the fore in my business, to try and just encourage that and make it okay for people to find some stillness and in their lives, you know, that are just so flat out all the time.
Yeah. So now, you know, like, so you had that experience, and you know, you had, obviously, you had to change directions. What's happening for you now? What's
completely. So, well, I left that work. I stayed in that workplace for a couple more years, but in 2020, that was my limit again, because I was working from home with a young child, trying to do meetings and concentrate with all this background noise, and I actually felt myself go there. Yeah, I felt myself. You saw
the signs, right?
I saw the signs, which was great. So, and I said, okay, that's it. You know, I'm done here. That's the final straw. And so I sort of worked from home for a little while, just doing my own, just raising the family, and then decided to write the book last year. And so now I've sort of started up my own coaching business called The Self-Care Stylist. And I really want
I like that.
Yeah. It's so I sort of do a burnout audits or self-care strategy for clients, particularly professionals and busy mums. And you know, so I really want to be able to sort of provide that space for people as someone who's been there. You know, I've been there, I've been through it, I've got that lived experience to offer. So, you know, people can, you know, sort of feel that they can share with complete openness and honesty about what they're going through without fear of judgment, you know.
Yeah.
And so failure.
And so for anyone that might be, you know, I'm imagining someone right now listening in the car because they're on the way to work, or they're on their way to, you know, pick up this and this and this before they do blah, 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 right? So they're in that space of, you know, overwhelm, too much, you know, like they're in that space of nearly tapped out, but they're not aware of it, right? And I just wanted to bring that up for anyone that might be listening in the car, you know, like, or doing 500 things at the same time. Yeah. What are some of the signs, you know, like you've shared some of the signs that you experienced, but with your clients, is there anything that someone might be listening that can go, hey, holy crap, oh, that's happening to me. Oh, yeah, that's happening to me. What are some of the signs that you can offer to share with people?
Yeah, I mean, another couple of signs would be, you know, an overactive brain at night time. You know, if you're trying to get to sleep, if you find your brain is just keeping on, you know, cycling through what you've done today or what your to-do list is for tomorrow, I believe that's a sign of overwhelm and a build-up of stress. You know, and also if you get agitated, like if you're trying to do a lot of different things, you know, you're packing the kids' lunch, you're trying to get them dressed, and you know, that's often a bit of a point for mums and women where we're just juggling so much to reach a deadline, which is basically to get kids to school and yourself to work.
Yeah.
And you can actually feel quite agitated. So you get snappy and irritable.
I was just going to say that, you know, you get triggered over, you know, the kid not you know, is playing with something and wants to show you.
That final thing will just trigger a real meltdown. Like you might start yelling, or you have a go at your partner, whatever it might be. I mean, that's not a good sign.
Indication that you're in.
If that's happening every day, I mean, you might need to think about that. You really need to start changing something. Yeah. Everyone's got different limits. See, that's the thing. My limits are different from someone else's limits with what they can sort of take on and handle. So working out what your own limitations are, that's been a big learning curve for me.
Yeah.
trying to, just if you can try and sit and just be a bit mindful about your activities through the day, and those sorts of activities will help you start to slow down and start to give you a chance to reflect and look inward. Whereas if you're constantly if you check your phone on your break and you're never stopping, because we've always got this phone, to that we distract ourselves with. Well, you're never giving your nervous system a time to rest. You're never giving your that consciousness to actually reset and to settle down. You really need to give yourself a chance to settle down every day. And if you're starting to feel wound up every hour, you've got to do it every hour. You know what I mean? You can't just leave it to the end of the day.
I'm just thinking of, only a couple of years ago when I had, I was living in Sydney. My mum was looking after my mum. I was living with her. I was, building my business. I just started one online course. I was doing another one, and she had a heart attack. And she was in hospital 3 times. Nellie had to resuscitate her at one stage. And
stressful. Yeah.
Well, I've got a really big capacity. So I'm really good at holding a lot of space for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until it was near the end, like that she was in, I think she'd come out of hospital, and my cousin, I went and had dinner with my cousin, and she was telling her, and every time I told the story, I'd relive it. And she said, because it was horrible, there was a whole process of it was horrible why she was in hospital 3 times. Yeah. But my cousin said to me, hey, I just noticed something. Did you notice it? Because, I talk with my hands a lot. And she said, I don't know if you've noticed, but when your hands are shaking. And I looked down, I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't realize, and she said, and you're the most dehydrated I've ever seen you, and it was lucky that she had told me that, because I didn't realize that I was at capacity, as you said.
Immersed. Yeah, totally immersed in the whole thing, in the situation,
Yeah.
And I mean, isn't it a beautiful thing to have a friend who can actually tell you that?
Yeah.
And create that awareness for you.
Yeah.
Someone that you trust,
Yeah. I went and booked in for a 3-hour pampering massage, salt thing. I went and had that. And then from that made a decision about, no, I can't cope with this. I made decisions instead of this, I've got to look after mum for the rest of my life, and hold, look after her in the house. So there was this contract sort of thing that I had in my head that this is what I had to do. So I had to readdress that and break those, for my own sanity, and for, what I feel I'm here to do is these are the, and I had to make some hard decisions, right?
Yeah. I mean, so that's so important. Just that chance, that massage, that pampering session just gave you a chance to sort of reassess where you're at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a key thing that we should all do it once a month or once every 6 months, just to check in with ourselves. Because if we don't give ourselves a chance to check in, it's just going to build up and build up and build up, the stress levels. And, a holiday once a year is not enough to alleviate that stress.
Oh,
it has to be regular. It has to be daily or weekly, I mean, I have a daily meditation practice now that I do. And I can recognise the signs in myself when I'm starting to get overwhelmed and stressed. And I know that I need to start doing some breathing and, have some time out, and I stick up for myself more now, which I'm really, really happy about,
Awesome, awesome.
I reached a point, where I'm just, that's
it.
I matter.
Sand in the line in the sand, right? Yeah.
I matter. I'm important. My needs are important. Yeah.
So, Emma, how do women get in contact with you? Do you work with men and women?
Yes, I certainly do. Yeah. It's mostly women I work with. I guess because of the connection.
Yeah.
There's another woman who's been there. And I mean, some men, do find it hard coming forward and being able to sort of discuss what's happening with them. But
yeah,
so I have got a Facebook group called Self-Care Journeys, which is a community that I've recently started to provide that space, that nurturing space for overworked, stressed out people, to connect with other people in that same boat. And I provide tips and tricks and that sort of thing in that. That's one place. You can also find me on my Facebook page, the Self-Care Stylist.
yeah. And so if anyone wants to get in contact just to say, hey, I'm not 100% sure, but I just need to have a chat, you offer,
I'm happy with people to DM me if they want to reach out. I'd love people to reach out if they just want to have a chat. They're not sure what's going on with them. They just want a bit of clarity around that. I have a free sort of 15-20 minute discovery call that I offer when I'm first meeting new people. So
awesome.
I like to offer that just to touch base and to see if we click and take it from there.
Sounds good. And so once we've finished, Emma, if you can jump in and just put all your details in the comments, and anyone that's watching live, thank you. If you've got any questions for Emma, that would be awesome. Just Emma will go in and answer any questions that might be there. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Emma, to have you here.
No, it's been great to talk about this widespread issue.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to grab a book, where
so I'll put the link there too in the comments. They can go to basically my website for the book is stopgivingstartliving.com.
Awesome.
And they can find the book there, and I'll send a copy out to you. But I'll put some other details in the comments for people. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Emma. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Yeah, lovely to chat to you too, Elizabeth. Yeah, really nice.
Take care, and if there's any comments or any questions, just throw them in, and Emma will do her best to answer, or she'll reach out to you as well. And take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week.